welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Tempast Wulf.
Hello.
How are you?
Doing well, Bill. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So, do you want to explain to the people where you were born and raised?
So I was born in California and then grew up around the Carson City area and then lived all over the world from there. I have lived in Germany. I have lived in South Africa for a while. I've gotten to visit most of Europe. And then when I came back from Europe, I moved to the South. And so I'm actually bi-coastal. I spend half of the year in Los Angeles for award season and, work and pilot season and that type of thing. And then I spend the other half of the year here in Georgia.
So when you were younger, what was your dreams to be? What was your dream to be an actress? Is that what you inspired to be?
I think every little girl wants to be an actress at some point in time. But I was a model starting at the age of 16 and was runner-up for Miss Teen Nevada. And always wanted to get into acting. And then, when I lived in Europe, I did some modeling and stuff there and did a couple of runway shows. And then when I moved back, I kind of took a break for a little while. And then in I think my first comeback role or show actually I was in was just Vampire Diaries. And it was just like as an extra to see if I wanted to get back into it, to see if this was something that I wanted to do. And I loved it. I remember how much I actually loved being on camera and being on sets and around all these creative people. And so I kind of got rebit by the bug. And so I've been back in the acting career ever since.
Everybody that I'm associated with that has seen your picture has said something to me about your looks. They're like, wow, she is gorgeous. She's really pretty. Like, so first off, you're very attractive. And a lot of people, you have a recognizable look. Like
I do. I can't get away with anything. But that's not a bad thing either, because as far as branding and when in the modeling career, it was great because big, huge, elite agencies in Germany and Italy and stuff picked me up, and so I got to have fun on red carpets and wear all these amazing things designers would come up with, and so it was a blast for sure.
Your first ever role, how was it presented to you, and how did it come about?
So my first ever, speaking, non-background, non-whatever role was for a film called Bloated Minds. And I don't remember how I met the director, but he's a great guy. He has great vision, and he really wanted to do a movie about PTSD and how it affects people when they get back, and kind of the decline while they're trying to enter into just everyday life, because it's kind of hard when you're driving down a street that looks similar to your home street, and then it'd be dangerous. So that was my first film, and then I got to be a helicopter pilot in that one, essentially one of the soldiers in that one. And it was fun. I enjoyed it. So it was kind of an indie film, but he had a lot of resources. We actually got to play around in real helicopters and real Air Force uniforms. And, it was a lot of fun.
So, wow, that first acting job, were all your extra roles and things like that, was that like a setup for you to do lead roles, like the experience and all that?
So I had met Samuel Jackson at one of his premieres, and he says that to be an actor, you really just have to be on set all the time. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And if you look at his IMDb career, a good 50-60% of it is background work. is extra work. And he says, you know, you're not going to be an actor sitting on the sidelines waiting for people to give you roles. But if you're on set all the time, networking, working, meeting these people, you know, they see you, they become familiar with you. And then when your picture comes across the desk, we'll be like, oh, yeah, hey, I remember him from, you know, this movie. And it's not just that, it's knowing what to do when you're on set. You know, when you're on a big budget movie, there's thousands and thousands of people constantly moving all the time. And so you really need to know what you're supposed to do, where you're supposed to be, and how you're supposed to act. You know, when they say
have
that.
you seen people that do things that are outside the box? Can you explain some situations?
So I was on a film that I can't talk about yet last year. And we actually, you know, on this set, it's a $25 million set. And it's a huge, huge, big film. But when you go on to those type of sets where there's multi-million dollars and it's a huge company and it's a big brand that everybody's been familiar with for years, there's certain things like you're not allowed to bring your cell phone, right? And they recommend you either leave it in the car or they're going to lock it up. And so they do. They put it in this little like bag and they lock it to where you cannot access your phone at all the whole time you're there. And if you bring your laptop or anything like that, they put a sticker over the camera. And there was a guy on set who, and we don't know if he brought in an extra phone or, you know, what he did or snuck it in or whatever, but he took pictures of the whole set and all this other stuff and video and camera. And he was not removed by security.
They caught
and
him?
everything was erased off of his phone right there. Just
wow. So
yeah.
Are they going to have to start like searching people before they go into something like that?
Well, no, but he does, you know, those type of people do get put on a blacklist across all of the casting agencies not to hire those people at all. And that's why these big budget productions go through these casting agencies, because it's a way of vetting out the bad people you don't want on your set. Like, you know, you're dealing with paying actors, you know, thousands of dollars per hour to be there. You really have a time limit to get things done. You don't have time to go chasing around children with their cell phones trying to, you know, take pictures and be popular on the internet. Like it's a waste of time and money. So,
yeah, you're there to do a job and get the job done, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, they pay well, they feed you, and you're good to go.
I got hired to do social media for an event, and I was on the phone all the time at the event, but that was my job.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting stiffed on the bill, but I'm going to the Labor Department or whatever.
Better Business Bureau.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, or Labor Department, Labor Union.
Yeah.
There's a couple different things. But you know, and it's really about hiring people that have integrity to do the job. And you know, you don't hire somebody who's fresh out of acting school or, you know, that doesn't know how to act on set for a multi-million-dollar project. You just don't do it because you don't, you know, first they have the diva syndrome, right? And they're just like, oh my gosh, I was hired, so I'm the best thing ever. Where's my chair? You know, and so you just like, nobody has time to deal with any of that. They don't. There's a million particles running around all the time trying to get their job done. The last thing we need is a diva. Like, just come here, go to makeup, go sit in your chair until we're ready for you. Like,
so have you seen that? Have you seen the diva?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they've been removed off set too. And they just know. Or the actors, and you'll hear about the A-list actors that people refuse to work with anymore because of the diva syndrome. We had one of the lead actors on Vampire Diaries, which I'm not going to mention his name, ridiculous to work with. Absolutely ridiculous. And you can get an idea of who it is because he hasn't been in anything since. And he was one of the leads, but he just was, nobody could look at him. Nobody could talk to him. Like, he had to be in his zone, and he had to be with his security guards, and he had to be in his room whenever we weren't filming. And it was ridiculous. And he had a stand-in for whenever it wasn't his lines or he wasn't doing any action scene. And he just, like, biggest diva on the planet. And he hasn't been anything since. And they're somebody, I saw a news clip last year that was like, you know, oh, he's going to be a producer on a film. And I was like, oh, you could not pay me to be on that film with him.
He'll be like, everyone be quiet. I need it quiet now.
Right. Oh, and that's just it. It's like, you don't need negative people either. You know, you really don't. Everybody's there for a positive experience. We're there for long hours. Long hours. You know, you could get there at 5 o'clock in the morning, go into makeup because we're not shooting till 9. And that's how long it takes to wrangle all these people and be able to get them ready to go on to set while you have your set team making sure that the lighting is working, that the sandbags are secured, that, you know, all of this behind the scenes stuff you don't think about, that those are taken care of. Another huge, like $200 million movie I was on, sandbag fell and almost killed the main actor. Like, it missed him by 4 inches. Missed him. And these are the type of things, you know, you can't have somebody distracting anyone else. Everyone has to be there doing their job the way they're supposed to be doing, because that one distraction could cause somebody else to lose their life or be hurt seriously.
Have you had other situations where maybe it interrupted the set? Maybe a situation happened and it caused havoc on the set?
Well, that one definitely caused havoc. Like, we all went back to our areas, and the extras went back to holding. We all went back to our trailers. Like, that was a mess, because one, now you have an actor, you know, one of the lead actors who almost died, right? And then you have to figure out how this happened in the first place. And this warehouse is, you know, 3 stories tall, easily. And so that sandbag falling from that high, like, there would have been.
It was like
nothing.
right next to him?
Yes. I kid you not, 4 inches from him. And so, you know, then there has to be an investigation. There has to be a report. There has to be all of this stuff to find out what happened. Even though it didn't hurt anyone, it shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and so you have all of these different things.
Kind of like Alec Baldwin, the situation with him with the gun. What do you think of that situation? And have you had any scares on the set with weapons?
So Helena is actually was a really good friend of mine. Her husband Matt and their son. And the thing about that is, when you have someone who is not only the actor but the producer, and, you know, putting money in towards the film, but they're also have been in the film industry a long time, you have an overinflated diva syndrome, where they think that they, you know, everybody just has to listen to them and they can, you know, do whatever they want to and not just follow any of the guidelines. Yeah. And it was very unfortunate that he really felt that he needed that shot. You know, it's the typical Western shot where it's, you know, the bullet down. I mean, you use it in your advertising. That's the shot
right,
that they were shooting.
When it comes out of the logo.
Right, exactly. That was the shot that they were shooting, and it went right through the camera, right through Helena, and into the director behind them. And, you know, they weren't able to get her help in time, and she did die on set before, you know, being able to go out. I have not had anything like that. The set we went for Bloated Minds, we did have guns in that set. None of them were real. Like, you know, you can get guns that are like cap guns or any of these other ones that are so realistic looking nowadays that you don't actually have to have a real firearm. And then for days where we did go and train with specialists, we went to an actual gun range. And so we never had any live guns or ammunition or anything else like that on set. There is no need for it, in my opinion. There is never any need for any live ammo on set. And it really sucks that it takes somebody dying in order for this to be a realization.
Yeah, it's wild, crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's not needed. And the something else too was the armorer. This was her first job. Her father is a famous armorer. He did the what was that? The Magnificent Seven or whatever that was. And, that he didn't want to do the job because he didn't want to deal with Alec, and Alec did a budget cut and wasn't going to pay him, what it was worth. And so he put his daughter in to do it as her first job. And, women in this industry get ran over anyway.